Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Lifetime Value. I'm your host, Ritik. Today, for our second mystery guest, I'm extremely excited to have one of Mexico's topmost comedians, Daniel Sosa. Daniel has been around Mexico's comedy scene for the past few years, and in a very short period of time, he's amassed 2 Netflix specials, around 660,000 followers on Instagram, almost 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, and acted in several comedy shows, including LOL on Amazon Prime, on Comedy Central, as well as given a TEDx talk as well. All of this before the age of 26. More importantly, Daniel has been part of a group of comedians who have disrupted the perception of stand-up comedy in Mexico and given the hope of stand-up comedy being a viable career to millions. Today, he's here to share his journey into comedy, as well as share insights into the business of comedy. Like, how do you get a Netflix special? What are the roles of a management company, for example? So without further ado, please help me welcome Daniel.
Yes, thanks for all those applauses. I love it. Hi, brother. How are you?
Good, bro. Really good to have you on the podcast, and thank you so much for taking time out. That was quite an introduction. I mean,
Yes.
we've known each other for a while, but then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, he's done all of this before the age of 26. Like when I was 26, I think I was still in my diapers probably when I was 26.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of rough because I'm started very young. This thing of comedy. I started at 18 years old.
Wow. Well, why don't you start us off by giving us an introduction of how you got into comedy and how we met each other?
Okay. First of all, I want to say sorry because I have no very good English because I'm Mexican, but not just Mexican. I'm a poor Mexican. So
No.
when you're a poor Mexican, you have a lot of things that you didn't have, like education. So I need to apologize first of all. And then, I'm starting this thing of comedy at 18 years old because I saw a friend that calls Ricardo Farid, another comedian here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing stand-up in Comedy Central. So when I realized that in Mexico City, we have comedians that make stand-up, in my head, it was like, what? Here in my country, I can do stand-up comedy? So I made my research and I found that there's a lot of teachers,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not really teachers of comedy, that the only thing that they do is like read the Comedy Bible by Judy Carter, and a lot of comedy schools. But in the start, man, it was so hard because nobody in Mexico know anything about stand-up comedy. Because here in Mexico, we have the traditional comics, like one-liner comics, like Teo González, Jorge Falcón, all those guys makes just one-liner jokes. And here in Mexico, we have no idea what the hell was a stand-up. So I was the third generation of stand-up comedians here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very hard for me and partners. And suddenly the guys of Comedy Central put attention here in Mexico, started doing shows. Did you remember Vine?
Yes.
Vine changed everything because Vine was like very fast and very catchy, and all the comedians finds a place that like we can express our jokes in a few times. When Vine came to Mexico, the famous guys started doing stand-up comedy too. So it was like a magic combination, and that's why the stand-up starts to have more
more presence.
More presence, but all the brands start to look at us.
Right. Yes.
And the traditional media like the television and radio start to look at us and, oh, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was very cool, man.
Very, very interesting. And to kind of add on, I met you around the time where I kind of felt like there was this big change in comedy itself. Like we all went to Woco. That was like the
yes.
place. And that's how I got my start in comedy here, because I randomly texted them on Facebook like, hey, I want to perform comedy. And they're like, yeah, come down. We don't care what language. And at that point in time, it was just you walk in and you can perform. But then Vocal has become such a hub now. You need to get on a list in order to get in on the show now. That's insane.
Yeah.
And we met each other because you were and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people around Vocal on a Tuesday. And then they were like, oh man, hey, this guy Daniel Sosa is around. I was like, who? Because I had not been part of the
Daniel who?
Exactly, because I hadn't been part of the community big enough. And then like when I saw you on stage, it was like, you know, everybody was laughing. It was just like an aura. And I was supposed to go right after you. They were like, yeah, let's put
Oh my God.
it's English speaking, not even Spanish speaking guy after one of the biggest comedians just for a laugh. Fortunately, because you were so funny, it spilled onto my act. So they didn't know what I was saying, but they were like, yeah, it's funny. So, and then we started chit-chatting with each other, and that's how we met each other.
Nice to see you at Walk. For the people that knows the comedy store, here in Mexico, we didn't have that. So Walk is the most close that we have, like the comedy store. And when I saw you, I think that it's a funny guy, and I don't give a fuck if I am Daniel Sosa or I mean, you're a funny guy. And for me, it was good because it represents like, wow, maybe here in Mexico we can have a comedian of another language, and if I can help him, well, I'm gonna do, because I love the comedy and I love comedians. I love all the industry.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, once you've sort of managed or impressed somebody at Voco, you get to go to the next step, which is Can.
Yeah, well,
like
it's a rough place.
It's where you got to be invited to perform there, and only because of Daniel I had a chance to perform there. It was so much fun. So thank you for that as well. So why don't you tell us what drew you to comedy?
I was so insecure kid. So when I was younger, I have a lot of things that happened in my life. Like my mom left me when I was 7 years old. She left me, and my dad raised me with my grandfathers. And the thing was that when I grew up, my armor was the comedy. When I want to being accepted in some groups, or when I try to speak like to a girl, the comedy was my best friend. So I grew up with the comedy in my hand. And when I was older, I realized that I can do this for a living. So it was like, I think that I didn't find the comedy finds me, because for me it's everything. Right now with the pandemic thing and all the quarantine, I lost all the shows, all the tour. So the comedy is still here, but in a different way. So I need to reinvent the ways that we make comedy. I was telling to you that we're gonna make a stand-up show in Autocinema, like a show with cars. Like if I was the Rayo McQueen, and gonna be I don't know what's gonna happen, but for me it was so hard, bro, because the comedy saved me. The comedy saved my life, because without comedy I can do catharsis, and I can't express my ideas or my feelings, because I have a lot of issues in my mind. So the comedy is like kind of lubricant for the truth. So for me, was the comedy was doesn't more. And when I start doing this in a professional way, I realized that there's a lot of things that you have no idea that you need to do, like prepare you, like take a lot of class with teachers. That it's a business that you need to see like a brand, and the people. There's a lot of things that the comedians that are starting in this industry didn't realize, like, wait a minute, so you need to think like if you're a brand, but where's your comic ideas and your values? And it's complicated, because you need to understand that you're a comic, and you need to work in an industry that already works without you. So you need to adapt to it, and you need to understand that you're not gonna be a famous comedian. You need to be a professional comedian. I believe that the comedy special changed my life. And yes, but no, because in the States, it works like that. Because in the United States, when you have a comedy special on Netflix, it's more easy that you have a movie or a series. Here in Mexico, no, because there's not a lot of people that think in the future. So when you have the special on Netflix, you're just like, oh, well, what's the next step? So that's why I'm started with another friend, Casa Comedy. That Casa Comedy is like a group of comedians and a few people that understand industry to
Mm-hmm.
make a path more clear for the
Yeah.
comedians, because it's necessary. I mean, I think that here in Mexico there's a lot of talent people, but
Mm-hmm.
not with the necessary clearance of his career.
Like the support, even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Very good
I think
point.
that we can change. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, that brings me to exactly my next question. What is Casa Comedy, and why does a comedian the help of a management company?
I was with my first Netflix special.
Yes.
I made my special, and then I started. Well, now what? I do another tour with sold outs everywhere, and then what? And then I end the tour with another special, and then I do another tour, and this is gonna be the rest of my life. And I start thinking, well, what happened if I want to be an actor, a comedy actor? Or what happened if I want to be a writer, a TV writer? Or if
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a show? What happened? What I need to do? And I understand that I need to prepare me. I need to have some courses, or I need to meet a new teacher. I don't know. And then a lot of brands start to see me like a serious guy. Like, oh, if you're on Netflix, now you're serious. I need to start to think, well, it's good if I work with these kind of brands,
Mm-hmm.
or I need to start working with these other kind of brands. I don't know. And there's a friend of mine that calls Marco Pina. That Marco Pina was a commercial director and Sosa, a huge enterprise here in Mexico, like
Mm-hmm.
our Live Nation,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows everything about the business and everything about the marks, and how to build a career of the musicians. And here in Mexico, we have a lot of comparative with the musicians and the comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And Marco understand that. Marco says that, okay, I know that you're different like a musician, because the musician first make the record, and then he going on tour, and the people need to learn all the songs of that record.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the comics, it's the other way. It's you need to make it special, and when you get on tour, you need to say another jokes, because the
Yeah.
people didn't want to hear the same jokes.
Yeah.
So he understand that, and he understand that being a stand-up comic, it's very different to be a one-liner comic, because you have an opinion, you have things to say, and the people want to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of responsibility, so it's complicated to work with any brand that you want. You need to pick the brands with a lot of
Yeah.
caution,
Yeah.
because if you're a comedian that make you're doing the things right, and suddenly you pick a wrong brand,
Yeah.
career is gonna be like weird. Or if you pick a wrong show, or you pick a wrong decision, all your career is gonna fucked up. So when I and Marco realized that we need that guide, we need like a kind of guidance in this industry, we decided with another guy called Alex Diaz to make a Casa Comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and it works, because Casa Comedy started with Alex Diaz and Paco Huidobro. Paco Huidobro is the lead guitar in a group here in Mexico called Phobia.
Okay.
And Paco Huidobro and Alex Diaz start talking about, hey, what happened if you have like a station on Vive Latino, that here in Mexico is a huge festival of music.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened if we have a stage over there, but just for comedy and just for comedians? And that was the first time that the logo of Casa Comedy and the name Casa Comedy was heard, and
Mm-hmm.
it works. The people in the Viva Latino went to see the comedians, and
Yep.
it was a very good show. And then we pick up the ideas and say, oh, well, what happened if we made Casa Comedy, and pick a lot of comedians and start to guide us in his career and her career, and it works for everybody. The thing is that if you start doing comedy here in Mexico, you need to understand that the first thing that you need to know is that you need to work every day for being a professional comedian. Every day you need to
Yes.
work. Every day you need to understand another book, or understand another kind of jokes. You can't just be funny.
So true. Couldn't have said it better
Yeah.
myself. Now, let's move to the question probably everybody wants the answer to. How does one get a Netflix special? What happens? What happens? And can you tell us like the moment that you got the email to the recording, the fee structure? I
Yeah.
mean, whatever you're able to share.
In 2015, Ricardo Farril, the guy that I saw the
Mm-hmm.
first time doing stand up here in Mexico, he's gonna record his first comedy special on Netflix, and he told me, "Hey, do you wanna be my opener? Do you wanna be my supporting act?" And I was like, "Of course I want. What the hell are you saying about?" And when I was on the fitting room with Ricardo, we start to talk like, oh, I'm so nervous. Me too. And you feel the vibe like this is a special show. You know that this is a special show.
Yeah.
And when I jump on the stage and I start to say hey, hi, hello, everybody. I'm Daniel Sosa, and everybody's still laughing at me, and the shows go well. I realized that I was doing a very good show in front of very important people. But I just realized that when I was finishing my show. So I was like, okay, I do my best, and that's not my show anymore. And then the people of Netflix told to Raúl Campos, the director in these specials, of the specials, that, hey, can you talk to Daniel and ask him if he wants to do his show for Netflix? So Raúl Campos didn't tell me. He went to my show that he in Mexico in La Condesa in a place called Bataclan. And I saw him and I was like, oh, hi. I mean,
yeah,
I know perfectly what the hell you're doing here.
Yeah.
You're putting me nervous right now. So I'm thinking a lot of things. Oh my God. And so I started doing my show and I forget him and start doing my jokes and talk to the people. And at the end of the show, he sent me a message like, oh, you did very well. Congrats, you're a great comedian, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And a week later, I received a call of Raul. Hey, can you come with me to have a dinner in this place called Bonito? So at that point, I've been like, oh my God. I have two options. Or I can have Netflix specials, or he wants to fuck me. I don't know what but it's very, I don't know. So when I went to that place, he starts the conversation, telling me like, well, the other day I was seeing, I went to the show and the people of Netflix wants to tell you that if you, I don't know, oh my God, just say it. And he said me, I want to see if you do your Netflix special. If you want, maybe if you want. If you don't want, oh my God, of course I want. And what's the next step? And then they contact me and say, well, here's the deal. We're gonna pay you for your show, like if your show is like a product.
Okay.
So if this one's my show, they give me money and I give you my show, and that now it's your show, it's not mine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you money, and that was like 100,000 pesos, like
okay, $5,000 approximately, más o menos. Yeah.
más o menos 5,000.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I was young and I have a lot of money. Oh my God, it's a lot of money. And the point is that when I accept that deal and they put everything, all the production is by the Netflix, and they pay the production to the where here in Mexico works like that. Netflix decides to make your show, and there's two ways. The first one is you made your stuff and with your things and your cameras with all the things that Netflix needs to put on his platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And then Netflix saw your product and said, well, it's good. I give you money, and then now it's my product. And but it's not a Netflix original. When it's a Netflix original, Netflix do everything. And I decided to do my show in Poliforum Siqueiros. It's a painting of a Mexican artist. And I decided to do it there because it was the first stand-up doing inside a painting, La Marcha de la Humanidad called. But it was a huge mistake because the acoustic and a lot of troubles with the audio. And then I need to be there at 7 o'clock of the morning, a.m. And we record at 9 o'clock p.m. So the thing is that I went to make a sound check, prove all my clothes and check the lights and tell my routine because the techniques need to know where the cams are gonna go. And then at the 9 o'clock is like the big show. No, in that show, Alex Fernandez and Carlos Vallarta opened my show. They were my supporting act, and I was so nervous when I start doing my show. I recorded in November and it goes out on February. So it's been a lot of time. And when I saw the result, I said, oh my god, I screw it. I'm stupid. What the hell I just
No,
did?
man.
Yeah, because when you're a comedian, when you saw at you doing the comedy, like what the hell I'm doing? Oh my god, I'm the worst comedian in the world. And it works. The special works. My tour was sold out. Another kind of brands start to talk with me, like
Hmm.
the and we make a huge campaign here in the country. And then at that point I realized that Netflix is like your graduation, the point of your career, that you have the tools to make a great career, but this is not your career. It's just the
Hmm.
start, and you decide what you do with your life.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And
Yeah.
I could feel the tension that probably you were going.
Yes.
Very well said. Now, you're in a very privileged position of having two Netflix specials. What
Yes.
was the
And the
difference
two,
between the first and the second?
well, a lot of difference. The first
Yeah.
one, Netflix called me, and then when Netflix do a lot of specials, they decide to, you know what, we're not gonna make more comedy special in Mexico and Latin America. And everybody was like, why? Because and Netflix says the numbers, and
Uh,
there's not a culture, you know. So the comedy specials was like stop. So
okay.
when I decided to make a new special, I talked with my managers of Casa Comedy and Alex Diaz and Marco Pina. Started saying, I need that because I need to put another statement that I am growing up. I mean, the first special, it's very silly and with all the reference of Mexican culture. And
Yeah.
when I make the second one, that obviously it's very, it has a lot of reference of Mexican culture. I try to speak more about the education, but the
Mm.
importance of try to be a conscious guy. So for me, was that at that point it was important to have a second special.
Okay.
So the thing that we do is like we made it at Tato Metropolitan. That was here in
Yeah.
Mexico. It's a place for 300 people, and we record with all the things that Netflix needs to be in his platform.
Hmm.
And we went to LA and say, well, you didn't want to make no more specials, but
Hmm.
here's my special. What do you think about? Can we make this thing together? And Netflix decided, yeah, we saw your special, and yes, let's make again specials, but with with your team, with
Wow.
you guys. So for me, it was very special because it's not only my special,
Yeah.
because my special, there's like the Alex Fernandez and another comedians here in Mexico, and that's the thing that I love. That I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the famous comedian. I want to be the
Hmm.
comedian that helps the industry, and the people reminds me like that. So the second one has a lot of personal effort and my team
Hmm.
too, and it's very cool. And I mean, when I put on Netflix, I can remember the smells. I can remember everything. I'm gonna tell you something funny. When Sofia Niño Rivera, another great comedian here in
Yeah.
Mexico, makes his first Metropolitan, I was a supporting act. And in the sound check, I went to the highest point of Metropolitan
Hmm.
with Marco Pina, and I started to looking at the stage, and I say, Marco, can you imagine the day that I can make a sold out here?
Yeah.
And Marco told me that, bro, you're gonna make it the next year. And I said, well, what the hell are you talking about? This place is huge. I can never. And the next year, I was doing my sold out in Metropolitan recording for Netflix with Sofia Niño with my supporting act,
Yeah.
Franco Escamilla with my being my supporting act too.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell happened? So there's a lot of things that what I love that special. The most important is that because of that, another comedians could have their own
Hmm.
special.
That is amazing. I was actually at that second special. That was it was amazing because I was like, yeah, I know this guy. He's chill. He hangs out, and then I'm like, wow, he's performing in front of like millions of people. Like it felt like so many people were there. Like I'm pretty sure the capacity was more than 100% because some people were
Yes.
like had like people like sitting on their laps for the whole show. Like there's definitely a bit of, and it was I couldn't believe that this was just the guy that I was having beers with a couple of weeks ago. You know, it
Yes.
was, and that for me was like you said, you know, it gave hope to a lot of people who were starting out and were like, I can do that too. That's amazing.
Yes.
Probably the next question I have is about like the future. Now with the pandemic and all the public areas being closed, you mentioned like you have to reinvent yourself and comedy itself is changing. What are your thoughts? Like what do you think is going to happen to comedy in the next couple of years or something?
Here in Mexico, we need to start again everything, because the people need to start going again to the bars. The theater is gonna be so difficult, because I have a lot of, I'm afraid, because the people, I don't know if they will go again in a stand-up comedy show with the same confidence that we have before these pandemic things. Because when before you can laugh and yell and you know, with a lot of confidence, and right now it's like, oh my god, he's laughing so hard and he's spread his saliva, oh my god, maybe, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen. For me, the thing that I need to be prepared is that I don't know for what, but I need to be prepared. I need to. Right now, I'm writing a series with a friends of mine for Netflix, and I am doing a lot of things more like a writer than a stand-up comedy, because stand-up comic, because obviously we have the shows, and we need to reborn the comedy here, because I mean, we have a lot of programs that works right now, like Cotorrisa and like Frasco, that it's two podcasts of comedians making fun, that I'm a huge fan, and they are friends of mine. But I mean, if here in Mexico want to make professional comedians and want to that the comedy grow up again, we need to prepare a lot. We need to prepare a lot to try to adapt the old stuff that we know to the new ones, to the social media, to the I don't know, maybe we can reinvent the television. I mean, there's not so far. Maybe we can make the people saw again the television. I don't know. There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of possibilities. But the thing that I'm pretty sure is that I don't know what's gonna happen, but I need to be prepared for everything. And here in Mexico, we have a lot of people that have the same thoughts, and they are reading a lot. They are having master classes on the internet. So maybe the stand-up shows is gonna start like only in bars. I mean, only in clubs, only in, I don't know if we can make a stand-up show in theater, because it's complicated because of the money and the people that works over there.
Yeah.
But maybe in bars, I don't know, maybe like Dave Chappelle doing like
a drive-in type. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
or without
exactly.
and the thing that the people on Instagram tell me, why you just don't make a show and stream the show? And I mean, like, it's not the same, because I need the feedback of the people. Correct. I need to feel the laughs. I need to feel the vibe. It's complicated to explain in techniques, but when you have a lot of when you have people that it's spread, like two of here and another two here, but with a lot of distance, it feels, for the comedian, feels like empty, like the.
Yes.
That's why the comedians, when we have a show that it's not full, that was not sold out, we told it to our managers, put all the people that it's at the back at the front. Yeah. Because we need to feel the people that is like friends, like a family, like a group. Yes. And that's the real trouble with the new kind of stand-up shows. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know we're gonna do, but the thing that I only know is that we need to be prepared.
Very good point. That's couldn't have said it better. Well, moving on to the next part, payback period, where the guest has a question for the host. Daniel, you want to go ahead?
I have a real question for you. When you start, you see a lot of comedy of comics here in Mexico, right? You see Ricardo Farid. Yes. Well,
Sofia,
Ricardo. Sofia, Ricardo. How you understand the things that we say? Yeah. Because we have the Mexicans, we have a very specific way to sell the things. Yes. And the stories. How you can understand, because I'm pretty sure that the people that is listening to this podcast, like, what the hell does this guy is telling? I mean, how you understand that?
Very good question. I mean, initially I didn't. because I was just so not in, even though like, yeah, I could maybe understand Spanish, etc. But it was so different because of the Mexicanisms that you guys throw. So I kind of felt like after asking my friends, understanding a few things, a lot of times speaking with your Uber driver really helps
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
So like slowly but surely, once you start connecting the dots, then you're like, okay, I get it. And fascinatingly, Indian culture and Mexican culture are very close together.
Oh,
Like
okay, really?
there's a lot of similarities. Like the moms are always like I know that Ofaril had this joke about the aunt always having some medicine whenever he's
Yes.
sick and she makes it at home, etc. That's the same thing that all the Indian aunties do as well. So I was like, I could completely connect with that. So there's a lot of things in common, and I felt like it allowed me to connect the dots much faster. And then once I kind of started knowing you guys personally and seeing that a lot of comedians have very similar sort of thoughts, that allowed me to, okay, get more and more into it. I still struggle sometimes when it's really like next level where you have to find the meaning within the meaning within the meaning.
Yes.
But I think like at least for the first couple, like if we're talking Inception but Mexican jokes, I think I can go two levels in the dream without any problem. Which also led me to go like, hey, you know what? I don't think Mexicans realize that they have that many Mexicanisms. So I started making jokes about Mexicans not knowing that they actually have that, and for an outsider, it's like, what are you talking about? That kind of thing. So it helped me a lot, and to be honest, that's the real Mexico for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one thing to enjoy the culture and the food, but to really connect with the population, you have
Maybe
to do. Yeah,
maybe we can do some sketch. Like
exactly.
you pointed at me my Mexicanisms. Like, do you understand what the hell you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
No.
exactly. That's kind of like what my, at least within Mexico, my comedy is about, is pointing out that as a confused foreigner, you guys have a lot of things that perhaps you don't know, but then you actually kind of you guys assume we'll get it, but we actually don't. So this has allowed me to connect with the audience as well, because then they walk over like, oh yeah, that was funny, but wait, hold on.
He
I
got a
actually
point.
say that. Yeah, exactly. Great question. Well, Daniel, before we wrap up, do you have any advice for comedians entering the comedy industry now, at least?
Yeah, I mean, not just for the comedians, for everybody. I think that we are living troubled times right now. We have a
Yeah.
lot of struggle, but it's not the end. I mean, from my experience, I going through a lot of not very nice things in my life. So I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you that at some point we're gonna have a chance to make the things right. Just
Mm-hmm.
put attention and make the things right.
Yeah.
You maybe start thinking, oh, I don't have a job, or I lose my job, or I don't have money, or and maybe it's so true and maybe it's real, but don't stuck at that point. Maybe
Yeah.
you have a lot of opportunity to start thinking, well, what's next? What happened if I can do my dream right now? What happened if this is the kickoff for a new idea,
Mm-hmm.
or I can reinvent my business? I don't know. Maybe just hold on a second and think that you are very smart people. Trust in yourself, trust in your abilities, trust in your education,
Mm-hmm.
and put your hands at work and make the future that you want. It's
Mm-hmm.
complicated to say it when you're listening this thing at the podcast and you're not living the real situation, but hold on a second and look at you. Find, I mean, find a picture of yourself when you have 6 years old. Look at that
Yeah.
picture and say to that kid what gonna do to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
And I guess that maybe that's a push that you need.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Danielle. This is such a pleasure as always. You always reinvigorate my passion for comedy, and your philosophy is so amazing. Our listeners can find you on Instagram, Daniel Sosa Sofado. Thank you
Yes.
again so much, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah. And if anybody here wants to send me a message on Instagram, with all the confidence, I'm here for you.
Yes.
And sorry about my English, but
No,
that's who I am. That's who I am,
no.
and I can be handsome and perfect. That's the trouble.
Thank you so much again.
Thanks you, Ritik. I appreciate it a lot.